This week in the news, EA is officially private, ex-Pokemon exec got arrested, Microsoft brings 360 games to PC, and more on Old Man Rages at the News. Before we get the show on the road, hit the like and subscribe buttons if you enjoy the content. And we're kicking off this week with Roblox losing $70 billion in value because of, quote, lack of viral games. Welcome to making a game based on user-generated content. We hope you enjoy your stay. Now, it's still worth pointing out, they still have a huge player base, and according to Roblox's daily active users, it's 123 million, which is still quite a lot. But players spend more time on experiences that generate less revenue for the platform. And also, to quote the chief financial officer, because you gotta get a lot of this, we attribute the unforeseen monetization shortfall to a greater than expected shift of engagement from high monetizing 2025 vintage viral games to a combination of new and evergreen experiences with lower hourly monetization. I need to interject here. I didn't know they hired EA's whole motto as their chief financial officer, but it certainly looks like it. Anyways, to continue the quote, this underlying mix shift was compounded by changes in our recommendation algorithm, which optimizes for long-term retention and is therefore providing more impressions for highly retentive games at expense of near-term monetization. Yeah, I think I have corporate in my mouth. Anyways, investment research firm Morningstar described the results as terrible, and analysts warn Roblox that long-term growth could be harder to maintain if they continue to rely on viral hits. Well, pretty sure a 10-year-old could have told them that, but oh well. It also feels like they're dodging the real issue with their platform, but at the end of the day, what do I know? It's not like I've covered them in the news before and had to look into information from their community or anything along those lines. But yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about. And in a continuation from last week's news, EA's officially announced that they have been acquired by PIF, Silver Lake, and Affinity Partners. Now, the announcement is literally a bunch of classical speeches about new chapters and all the stuff that comes with those speeches, so I'm not even gonna bother you guys with that. If you want it, I'm pretty sure I should have it in the sources somewhere, but what I find funny is that the CEO of Silver Lake believes EA's franchises are beloved in entertainment. Alright, who's gonna tell him? Who's gonna tell him what exactly is happening? You know, EA hasn't been beloved since, like, what, 2015? Or something along those lines? Yeah, feel free to correct me in the comments, but I think it was 2015. At least they gave a quick TLDR on the new owners, on what the new owners are, if you're curious. Yeah, you can have a look at that, I suppose. Because I do mean it when I say this is a quick TLDR. Because the only company that was given more context on who they are PIF, where they admitted drives the economic transformation of Saudi Arabia. Like, literally, that's the only thing that they clarified. For the love of God. Could have went into the other companies as well while you are at it, but then again, what do I know, right? Now, what's more worth talking about is that EA is reportedly preparing for mass layoffs. Now, mass layoffs after an acquisition. Where have I heard that before? Oh, anyways, subtle foreshadowing, maybe. But anyway, this information came from Jason Schreier, where he wrote on Blue Sky, and I quote, EA's annual EBITDA, I have no idea how to pronounce that, it sounds way more corporate than I'm ever used to, but anyways, is around 1.5 billion, which should be enough to service the interest payments. But the publisher has told debt investors that it will cut 7,000 million in annual costs, including 170 million in organizational efficiencies. Per Bloomberg, in other words, mass layoffs. Now, it's worth taking it with a grain of salt due to the fact that nothing has been confirmed yet. But who knows? Next week, we might get an announcement that the company is quote-unquote restructuring and optimizing. You know, the thing that companies love to say when they announce layoffs. And now, for a turn of the weird. The Pokemon Company is being sued after a former executive got arrested for filming people with hidden cameras in the bathrooms. Yeah, this one's crazy. Strap on, grab whatever hard liquor you have on hand, because just writing this makes me want to go into an alcoholic binge in the vain attempts to forget what I wrote and what I read. You have been warned. The international company, for the record, should also not be confused with Game Freak, who develops the Pokemon games, though we will get to them later on in the episode. And of course, you know the drill by now when it comes to discussing legal stuff. I'm not a lawyer. This is not legal advice in any way, shape, or form. If you think it is, you have a lot to worry about on your hands. Anyways, this class action lawsuit got filed by a former employee who claims the company failed to protect workers and visitors at the office in Bellevue, Washington, from the company's former director of engineering, Ben Tsai. According to TMZ, the former employee worked for the company from 2017 to the 25th of July 2026. And according to the Seattle Times, Tsai allegedly, and I can't believe I'm saying this, allegedly told the police he had secretly filmed no more than 50 times since 2017. Let that sink in. That's 50 more times than you should have, period. Like, doesn't matter the time frame. You don't film in public restrooms. That's how you get into trouble. Furthermore, he allegedly told detectives that he was mainly curious about transgender people? I can't. My brain is absolutely fried after this. Oh, brother. What the fuck were the thoughts running through this guy's head? Like, what was his first thought to do something that clearly is illegal in this case? Oh, I mean, you know, Google exists. Hell, I'm pretty sure there are communities on Reddit that can give you an idea of whatever question you have in regards to transgender people, but no, this guy allegedly filmed people. Like, fucking hell, man. Why would you even tell that to detectives? Oh, fucking hell. I'm pretty sure this guy's been dropped on the head one too many times as a baby. Applying common sense in this day and age is like, you know, Kryptonite Superman, for lack of a better analogy. Anyways, I'm getting off topic here. Investigators also found 89 videos that were allegedly filmed in a Pokemon office bathrooms. I need a drink. Ugh, fucking hell. The best part of all of this shit show is that his lawyer told Law 360 that Tsai, and quote the article, has entered and will enter pleas of not guilty to all charges. Meaning he is presumed innocent throughout these cases, and unless things should change, we have no further comment. Oh, fucking hell. I have a lot of comments here. But the only thing I want to say is, this guy doesn't need jail time. He needs a straitjacket and a padded room. Simple as that. And people wonder why Pokemon games recently have tanked in quality. I'm using the term recently here loosely, but regardless, at least Pokemon fans have something to look forward to, since the Pokemon trading card game has restrictions on its 30th anniversary set to prevent scalpers. So, you take whatever win you can, Pokemon fans. What are those restrictions, you may ask? Well, the company limits 4 new sets to Japan only, which those sets specifically are scheduled to go live in September, and you would require a Japanese ID card to purchase certain packs in the future. Well, Japanese Pokemon fans are gonna be winning here at least, and if you're curious, these are the sets that will be restricted to Japan only, while the others should be available to people outside of Japan. Now, I'm saying should because at the end of the day, I do not trust the Pokemon company one bit in terms of, actually doing something proper. Rewind what? 3 minutes back on the video and, you'll see why I don't trust them. Now, because apparently this also happened this week, and apparently things can also get stranger when it comes to, Pokemon and Nintendo in general. Japan warns the US government to stop using Nintendo and Pokemon in memes. Memes. The heart of the soul, Jack. Those funny little pictures you find online. Anyways, well, I'm kind of confused here, by the way. I was not aware that the US government was still using Pokemon memes, but okay. I mean, not exactly US citizens, so couldn't give a shit what they did with memes on Twitter. Figured it might be funny to talk, since according to Mainichi Shimbun, Japan's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, he raised the issue with the US Embassy in Tokyo, once in April, then in June, and one more time in August. They asked the Trump administration to stop using Japanese intellectual property without permission and to consider the potential impact on the franchises. First, that's quite the ask since they're asking a fossil to listen to them. Second, I think your executives are doing more damage than the US government. Refer to the first story here. Now, Japan's statement raised the possibility of copyright infringement, but do not represent a legal ruling. So far, the only thing that was done was just talks via diplomatic channels, which may or may not end in utter nothing. Now, sticking with Japanese companies for a little bit, PlayStation is kicking physical media fans in the nuts with a new warning sticker that reminds players this production will end. Yay! Now, one of the instances of this warning sticker came from a Spanish YouTuber who posted on X the whole message. A Blue Sky user also showed the same message when they were trying to purchase a disk drive, but IGN's writer went to their local Best Buy and couldn't find the sticker. Now, could be the Best Buy the IGN writer went to was still using old stock and the guys got new stocks, or could be something altogether different. I don't know. I got 2 sources saying one thing happened while one source says that it doesn't. Apply common sense here. What are the odds of that Best Buy still running old stock and they haven't restocked yet? So yeah, you make up your mind on what you think, if that's possible or not. I ain't gonna stop you one way or another if you think it is or it's not. Now, all of that debacle as well didn't stop Sony from kicking everyone else in the nuts because, they're preparing to bring more ads to PlayStation. Yay! Because that's what people like. Ads in their devices. I wonder, what company tried that recently and how did that go for them in terms of public opinion? Remind me in the comments, will ya? Anyways, back to the topic. They're hiring roles focused on ad sales, advertising tech, audience targeting, and data analytics. Plans reportedly include PlayStation services, free ad-supported streaming connected TVs, and other digital platforms. That's a mouthful. Anyways, let me get this straight. Sony's fans pay for a console they will have to replace in 6 years since launch, pay a monthly price for online capabilities, and no longer have proper physical media. Jesus Christ, dude. This makes me so fucking glad I'm on PC and I don't have to deal with shit like this. Oh, brother. And in what could be classified as a continuation of the last segment, Claire Obscure's lead, Guillaume Broche, I'm pretty sure I butchered the name, but regardless, calls PlayStation killing discs a sad decision after buying boxed copies of their own RPG. Talk about a power play on their part. Anyways, Broche told Automaton, and I quote, "Personally, I find it super sad because I really like video game stores. And even if nowadays I play mainly on PC myself, we have a lot of people on the team who play on PlayStation 5 and love to collect physical discs. I think it's part of the beauty of art too, that it's something tangible. Now, he knows that physical media releases add constraints and earn less money, but he also added, so even though it made things harder and meant less money per unit, it was important for us to provide players who want to have the physical game in their hands with an option. Because that's what we value as players too." And then you have the cavemen like me who haven't seen a physical disc since, what, 2010? Give or take? Yeah, I think that was around the time where I stopped storing shit on discs. You know, back then you can actually record stuff on discs. But anyways, I digress, because we have the other side of the argument for Sony, and in this case, defending Sony's poor choices. Take-Two's boss compared discs to fucking vinyl records. Damn, just thinking about vinyl records makes me feel like a fossil. Oh, and I'm not even gonna mention when was the last time I used a vinyl record for anything, because shit, son, that was a long time ago. Anyways, well, yes, the things that he says here, aka business going digital, the convenience of digital and needing online connection to play, is true, but it doesn't take away from the fact that you can still buy vinyl records. Oh, and fun fact, in 2025, vinyl records, and to be more precise, Luminate, generated $1.043 billion of revenue in raw sales in the US. All of that information was brought to you courtesy of acoustics.com. They'll be in their sources as well, because, you know, I like to put my money where my mouth is. And, you know, the Take-Two CEO talking for or checking things is kind of a point for the dumbass. Besides, we're talking about the same guy who is using Netflix to promote, what, a trailer? Or as they call it, an extended look on fucking Netflix. You know, the thing that you need a subscription for. So, this guy's taking a page out of Sony's playbook, it seems. He's putting a trailer, aka an ad, for something on a platform that requires a subscription, so you have to pay a subscription to watch a fucking ad. I can't with some of these people. I'm pretty sure they're either, well, close to clinically insane or just plain stupid. Ugh, fucking hell. Moving on from that clusterfuck of a segment, the previous segment, Microsoft plans to bring 360 games to PC. Now, this information came from a leaked document seen by The Verge. The Xbox 360 games will also be able to run on their next-gen Project Helix console. Quote-unquote Xbox PCs, whatever that means to them, and handheld devices. What, they're gonna start making PCs and just slap the Xbox logo on top of them? Jesus, that sounds retarded. What I'm more interested in, can those things be played on the Steam machine or on Linux in general, since, Windows 11's stupid decision making, in general, people not liking Microsoft a whole lot. If they can do it on Linux, yeah, I can see some people playing games on Linux. And if Steam OS gains traction, yeah, I'm getting off topic here, but anyways, if it can be played on Steam OS, that's going to be big for Microsoft, since, that's another operating system they can play on. Those games can be played on and another revenue stream. But anyways, their disk-to-digital program seems to be practically confirmed as well, since the document included details on that too. And for those who don't know, if you put a game disc inside your Xbox, you will be granted a temporary license, allowing you to play the game without putting the disc in. If the disc is then put into a different Xbox, the license gets automatically revoked, which is why it says temporary on it. Now, according to this leaked document, the public beta will be available in July, with regional availability set for August. Okay, so the regional availability is set for this month. That's surprisingly fast. All that's left is for them to announce the fucking thing and see if it works. But anyways, sticking with Microsoft for the time being, remember how Halo Studios got hit by layoffs? Yeah, turns out it was just purely contractors who had their contracts lapsed or got terminated. And apparently no full-time staff were let go. Despite no full-time staff being let go, it still kind of feels a bit iffy, considering that, we don't have any bragging about units sold for Campaign Evolved. I mean, just think for a minute. The only estimations we have that I can somewhat get behind are from LNA Analytics, where their head of marketing, Fizz Elliott, posted on his X account that, according to him, Halo sold 351,000 copies on PlayStation 5 in July, with the total number being 452,000 copies, 212,000 copies on Steam, and 900,000 on Xbox. Now, both console and PC count on this one. Yeah, okay, that's good. Now, the Xbox numbers, though, it's a bit muddy because this counts both Game Pass into the equation, meaning we don't even have a reliable estimation of how many copies were sold, since, sales get merged with Game Pass, and there's a difference between paying $50 for a game compared to paying $50 for a gaming subscription for a month, then not renewing it. Simple math says $35 of difference will go a long way if you add it up with, let's say, 300,000 copies. I'm just pulling a number out of my ass here as an example. But yeah, doesn't exactly paint a rosy picture for Halo Studios, what I'm saying. And now for rapid fire news. But specifically Game Freak, and this time it's not because of Pokemon, since they promised Beast of Reincarnation improvements because of the mixed reviews. Alright, I'll believe the promise when I see it, considering the track record you lot have with Pokemon games. Hell, if you can improve the game, might as well go back and improve the Pokemon games you released as well. That would be nice. Game Freak posted this on Next and said that they have taken the feedback to heart and are planning on continuous updates. The list they gave mostly contains stuff like camera changes, text size, and bug fixes. One of the things though that stuck out is the story pacing improvements, which will be altered incrementally according to the post. I mean, I haven't played the game, but you're telling me the story pacing is off? I mean, I'm not exactly surprised, let's say. It's Game Freak after all. Now it's time for an episode of Doom running on random objects. And this time, it's running inside of Microsoft Paint. Yes, you heard that right. Inside of fucking Microsoft Paint. What's next? Doom running on Excel, Word, my router, the CyberDogs they plan to release in 2080. The list keeps growing when you think about it. But anyways, jokes aside, Doom Paint was released by Microsoft Azure CTO Mark Rusinovich. Hope I didn't butcher the name. Which basically allows the real Doom engine to run inside Paint and allow it to paste every frame directly into the canvas. Now, this does do some funky stuff like allowing you to use Ctrl-Z to rewind and allows a fucking PNG to work as a save point, which the original Doom did not allow for, obvious reasons, since couldn't exactly rerun the game from a picture and whatnot. But overall, this would be a very funny tool to troll people at parties. Hey, can you draw something on this laptop? Yeah, sure. Then all of a sudden, the moment the mouse moves, you get the Doom engine kicking in, and it's like, what's happening? Why is this in Paint? I'm scared. Well, the other people are like laughing in the background because you're the poor soul that had no idea this was possible in Microsoft Paint. Now, to be fair, that would be me if I didn't encounter this story. Well, either that or I would have just started shooting demons, one or the other. Anyways, in other news, PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds is paying modders $95,000 to build the game's next mode. Yes, modders, get ready, get set. You might actually have a chance of making a decent profit here. Now, there are 3 categories in terms of what creators can compete in. First one, combat. Kind of goes with the game. The next one is survival. Alright. Considering what PUBG is for, yeah, I can see survival being one of those. And the third one being creative. So, the moment I hear creative mode, it's like Minecraft Hightail type of shit. And I'm like, okay. Now, the 3 category winners will get a pretty decent paycheck, and their mods will be built into the game. Additionally, 30 winning mods will make the final cut spread across the 3 categories. Each one carries $25,000 spot with $10,000 earn marked for whoever tops the list. Basically, you get 10 grand if you're the first on the list for that category. Yeah, I'd say that's nice for a mod. Now, 10 more creators can pick up a $500 prize for submitting something worth noticing early, and 6 lucky community favorites will take home $2,500, which is going to be decided entirely on a public vote. Hey, if you like the game, you can mod shit, might as well try submitting something for it. If nothing else, win $500 for something that you already made for a game or made real quick. Assuming it's, good. It's another mess that people found themselves in. Specifically, adult game developers in Japan face a tax nightmare. Why? Because they're getting taxed on income that they haven't received yet. Now, you might be wondering, why is this important? Why should I worry? Well, if this happens with them in adult media, which, mind you, is clearly labeled not for kids' use, what are the odds that this happens with something that's not adult media? I'd say hi and leave it at that. Anyways, an indie developer, Nupurio, reported that their bank is refusing to process an international transfer from their publisher related to one of their games. According to the dev, income generated from overseas is still taxable even if the payment is blocked. Now, after the publisher of the game initiated an international wire transfer to Rakuten Bank, I'm pretty sure I butchered that name, but it could be worse, could have called it the Ratatouille Bank or something other like that. Anyways, getting off topic, the bank requested an additional documentation citing compliance requirements, including information about the transaction and copy of the game's publisher agreement. Even after submitting what was asked for them, the transfer got rejected and the bank refuses to disclose the reason. Yeah, anytime somebody doesn't want to disclose the reason why something like a money transfer gets rejected, it's gonna be something stupid that's gonna make them look like a fucking moron. Anyways, Nipurian already anticipated it could be denied, but described the situation as way too brutal. I mean, not surprising considering the dude's gonna get taxed on income he never received in the first place. You know, the bank's effectively making him lose money, something they don't even wanna give him a reason for. Now, he also mentioned that he is exploring other banks and payment methods with the overseas publisher and plans to document which financial institutions accept or reject future transfers. Mate, if you make a list, plaster it all over the internet. The more these banks get held accountable for shit like this, the easier it will be for every game developer, regardless of what they're making. Since a bank can just turn around and tell you, "Oh, we don't want to deal with you anymore." Why, you ask? Well, that's on a need-to-know basis. It's for us to know, and for you to never find out. Because it's gonna make us look like a bunch of morons that got butthurt for something that most likely is inconsequential. And with that, that'll be all for this week's Old Man Rages at the News. Hit the like and subscribe buttons if you enjoy the content, and I'll see you next week.